Okay, so for morning reflection this morning, just noticing the ways tension builds up, and then for me a lot of the time it's just in the stomach, so then doing some stomach breathing can be helpful. Tension starts to build up, or the anxiety builds up, kind of get this go into high anxiety mode. And for me it's like a lot of tension in the stomach, so just doing some belly breathing, deep breaths, stopping for a minute, and also when we're working with each other during the work period, then the mindfulness of speech. If it's wandering into areas that are inappropriate for samanas, then reining it in, bringing it back, taking a couple deep breaths, staying. And we might see in the suttas, there's suttas where the Buddha says one who it leads to degeneration of the practice, or one who delights in work. And so we might think, well, okay, the Buddha isn't speaking in praise of work, so I may as well just talk the whole time or not get anything done. And but then in that same sutta, the Buddha also says it leads to degeneration for one who delights in talk. So so we have a set period. I think in this monastery we probably do less work than almost any monastery I've ever lived at in Thailand. We have a 2.5 hour work period in the morning, so we just have a focused period where we look after things and we try to stay on task, stay focused. If we get distracted from the work that we're doing, chances are we're going to get distracted from our meditation when we sit down and try to meditate. It's like how you do anything is how you do everything, the old saying. So just try to. We don't have to be like super duper tunnel vision, completely like don't talk to me, but just to try to use the mindfulness to stay, keep a good focus and keep it wholesome as we come into the year. And there's going to be inevitable mistakes. One of the reasons the Buddha warned us about things like idle chatter is somebody always inevitably ends up getting into areas where somebody ends up getting hurt. And I've seen that hundreds of times for myself. It starts out pleasant, starts out kind of fun, playful, and then it ends up somehow their dissonance builds up, somebody gets hurt, so then kind of reining it in, bringing it back. And so the work period can be just as good of a time for cultivating mindfulness as any other time, specifically with speech. And also it's, even though we want to stay on task, there's no real deadlines right now, so we don't have to really rush to get anything done, but we can take one step at a time. Doing the work can really teach us how to meditate, because we do things slowly and methodically, and we take what we have to do in that moment. We don't have to think about the whole project or the whole picture, but we can take what we're doing in that moment and say, okay, how do I do this task right here? And how do I remain calm during this task? And then how can I make it into a meditation and do the best I can? It's not going to be a substitute for the formal practice. It's not going to be as focused as that. But how can I breathe and stay focused on just what I'm doing, and then make it and then it becomes, when there's mindfulness, it becomes something enjoyable. It's like remember Ajahn reminding us of the saying that for one who's mindful, each day is better than the previous day. So as long as there's mindfulness, then our life gets better and better and better and more enjoyable as we go through this process of learning. But then when we lose the mindfulness, that's when we suffer. That's when we start to get into the anxiety, starting to get more and more tense. And so like we just sometimes we just have to step back, breathe for a bit, and just bring it back to the mindfulness, bringing it back to the Dhamma. So something just to recollect throughout the work period, throughout the day. I'll leave that for reflection.